Good evening, everybody. Today, I will discuss HFNC to enhance safe anesthesia during perioperative period. I am Dr. Suresh Bhargav, Senior Consultant, Shelby Multi-Specialty Hospital, Jaipur. It is very common that hypoxemia happens during surgery, and anesthesia providers try to avoid hypoxemia because of the risk of irreversible damage to the myocardium, brain, and other end organs. Despite these efforts, hypoxemia continues to occur in the operating room at a surprisingly high rate. This may represent a serious safety concern because of its potential impact on end organs, functions, and long-term outcomes. One case report was published in Canadian Journal of Anesthesia, and their findings were suggestive that a typical anesthesia provider is likely to encounter at least one episode of sustained hypoxemia, that is hypoxemia for 2 minutes, every 29 hours of intraoperative time. In the developing countries, hypoxemic episodes may well be more frequent and longer. Future studies that focus on whether these episodes are preventable and have a clinical impact are warranted. Risk of hypoxemia arises after the induction of anesthesia, and this may be due to either face mask ventilation is inadequate or tracheal intubation is difficult. Difficult oxygenation during the induction of anesthesia may lead to high risk of severe complications. That includes hemodynamic instability, dysrhythmias, hypoxic brain injury, cardiac arrest, and death. In one study, it was found that inadequate pre-oxygenation was observed in 56% of patients. In another study, 70% of the hypoxic episodes occurred during either induction or emergence. So there were two studies were published. One was regarding pre-oxygenation, inadequate pre-oxygenation, and second was hypoxemic episodes during anesthesia or induction or emergence. Few categories where reduced oxygen reserves are patients which are obese, pediatric patients, pregnancy, sepsis, critically ill. Now, how to minimize hypoxemia related complications during induction of anesthesia? The gold standard therapy is adequate oxygenation. First, we'll discuss the conventional oxygen methods. Now, traditional interfaces for oxygen deliveries are simple face mask, high concentration reservoir mask, Venturi mask, and nasal cannula. These all are low gas flow system. Delivered FIT is highly dependent on the patient inspiratory flow and breathing pattern. Now coming to pre-oxygenation. All patients of unanticipated difficult intubations in adults should be pre-oxygenated before the induction of general anesthesia. Pre-oxygenation increases the oxygen reserve, delays the onset of hypoxia, and allows more time for laryngoscopy, tracheal intubation, and for airway rescue should intubation fails. Coming to safe apnea time is from patient stop breath to SpO2 decreases to unacceptable level, that is 90%. In healthy adult, safe apnea time is only 1 to 2 minutes in room air. With pre-oxygenation, that is pure oxygen or 100% oxygen for 3 minutes, safe apnea time will extend to 8 minutes. And how the pre-oxygenation is given in adult patients? FiO2 of 100% with a flow rate of 10 to 12 liter per minute through a tightly fitting base mask over a patient's nose and mouth. The duration of pre-oxygenation should be titrated to denitrogenate the expired reserve and residual lung volume. It is recommended to confirm adequate pre-oxygenation via an end-tidal oxygen partial pressure, that is ETO2, that should exceed 90%. In healthy adults, the endpoint can be achieved within 3 to 5 minutes when using tidal volume breathing through a face mask. Second interface is nasal cannula. In one study, it was compared between the nasal cannula and Venturi mask, and it was found that dislodgements was more with the Venturi mask. In the same study, it was found that most patients expressed a preference for nasal prongs. Then coming to the drawbacks of conventional nasal cannula, the delivered FiO2 can decrease by 20% when a large differential exists between the nasal cannula flow rate and the patient's peak inspiratory flow rate or when mouth opens. Now coming to high flow nasal cannula oxygenation. First, what is HFNC? HFNC means high flow nasal cannula, and other terminology is also used for this is THRIVE, that is transnasal humidified rapid insufflation ventilatory exchange. Coming to the definition of nasal high flow therapy, it is heated high flow of inspired gas up to 60 liter per minute, and it is fully humidified at 37 degrees centigrade with a relative humidity of 100% and absolute humidity of 44 milligram H2O per liter. And this is the standalone device of high flow HFNO which has been used or being used in the different ICUs. This is again the standalone HFNC device. This is the Fisher and Paykel OptiFlow nasal cannula. This is Fisher and Paykel Airvo 2. Here the maximum flow is 70 liter per minute, and other brand is Max Blend 2. Maximum flow is 100 liter per minute. This is again the pictures of high nasal flow cannula devices. Now, question comes: why we should give the HFNC? We should give the FHNC because it extends the safe apnea time, reach to the optimal saturation quickly, help clinician to intubate more easily. If we compare the safe apnea time for different patient type, and we compare when we are not giving any pre-oxygenation, when we are pre-oxygenating with the conventional method, and when we are using the HFNC. It was found that in adults, when we are not using any pre-oxygenation, this apnea time is 1 to 2 minutes. With the conventional method, apnea time is 8 to 8 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes, and with HFNC, it is 14 to 30 minutes. Now, comparison between FHNC and conventional face mask pre-oxygenation. What is the clinical scenario for HFNC? It can be given during pre-intubation, post-intubation, tubeless anesthesia, and deep sedation. While in the CFMP, it can be given only during the period of pre-oxygenation. Then safe apnea time up to 30 minutes with the HFNC and 6 to 8 minutes with the conventional methods. Flow rate is capped 60 liter per minute or higher, while in the conventional method it is capped between 1 to 50 liter per minute. FiO2, it can be adjustable from 21% to 100%, but in the CFMP it is usually 100%. Interface, here we use the high flow nasal cannula, but in CFMP we use mask. Devices, in HFNC either standalone devices, gas blender, or Fisher Paykel Airvo. Or recently Mindray has incorporated the HFNC device in their anesthesia machine A9 and A8. In the CFMP, flow meter from wall or anesthesia machine manual mode. Active humidifier, it is recommended in the HFNC, it is no need in the CFMP. Now coming that what is the pharyngeal oxygen concentration? When we use the HFNC, it enhances the pharyngeal oxygen concentration. And how it enhances? Because the rationale behind the use of HFNT is that they should maintain an elevated FiO2 by using flow rates higher than the spontaneous inspiratory demand, decreasing entrained room air and avoiding large dilution occurs with room air. Here in this picture, when we are giving the HFNC, you can see there is a high, when set FiO2 is high, then we are receiving the high inspired oxygen during inspiration. But here in the conventional method of pre-oxygenation, there is a dilution of air with the room air. So HFNC is more accurate and stable FiO2 delivery. Again, HFNC may enhance pharyngeal oxygen concentration. This was published in the Anesthesiology 2013. Again, another publication was published in Anesthesia 2007, which says HFNC may enhance pharyngeal oxygen concentration. Now coming to FHNC and humidity. So FHNC may enhance nasopharyngeal humidity. Here In this, we can see the room temperature, relative humidity is 50%, and pressure of H2O is 18 millimeter Hg, and absolute humidity is 9. While at body temperature, relative humidity is 100%, pressure of H2O is 47, and absolute humidity is 44. That is 5 times increase. That means 5-fold increase in H2O content when we increases the room temperature, and increasing temperature increases pH2O and absolute humidity. Coming to the cell dysfunction and humidity deficit. This is the model for relationship between mucosal dysfunction and combination of the humidity of the inspired gas and time of exposure. If absolute humidity is more than BTPS, and what is BTPS? Is body temperature, atmospheric pressure, and saturated with water vapor. If it is more than BTPS, there is no cellular dysfunction, may lead to more severe dysfunction, and may lead to cell damage. Enhancing pharyngeal conditioning may reduce energy expenditure to condition inspired gases. When we are giving the dry gases, an adult with a typical of 500 ml tidal volume and a respiratory rate of 12 breaths per minute may require approximately 156 calories per minute for conditioning of gas or humidifying the gas. Also note that there must be some metabolic cost of generating mucus and moving the water. So when we are giving the humidified gases with a normal body temperature, then the loss of calories is less. Now, HFNC may attenuate inspiratory resistance. There are 3 principal mechanisms for this. First, by splinting nasopharyngeal boundaries by providing adequate flow. Second, by supplying adequately warmed and humidified gas. And third, by triggering Ehlers Danlos muscle activation, that is stiffening the nostrils. Now coming to the changes in airway resistance induced by nasal inhalation of cold, dry or moist air in the normal individuals. And this study was conducted in the 13 normal patients, and they analyzed the changes in interruption resistance, this is RINT, in response to 3 test agents. And it was found that nasal inhalation of cold, dry air elicited significant increase in R interruption values proportional to the magnitude of air pulling. Now coming to the physiology of HFNC. Physiology of HFNC we can divide into 3, like apneic oxygenation, PEEP effect, and dead space flushing. Coming to the apneic oxygenation, when we give high flow of oxygen HFNO, then there is a positive airway pressure. This blue line is a positive air pressure, and there is a mass flow of oxygen in the alveoli, and from the alveoli it goes to the pulmonary capillary, and this is known as a ventilatory mass flow. Simultaneously, there is a expiration of the carbon dioxide from the capillary to the alveoli, and from the alveoli it goes to the atmosphere. So this is the apneic oxygenation method with the HFNO, and this article published, and it's also recommends the HFNO is a good choice for the apneic oxygenation. Then again, this apneic oxygenation article published in this was a review and meta-analysis, and they recommend that apneic oxygenation may prolong safe apnea time and increase first pass success during emergency intubation. Then again, one article published that apneic oxygenation is a method to prolong the period of safe apnea. Now coming to the PEEP effect. Each 10-liter increase in flow rate achieves an additional positive airway pressure of 0.5 cm H2O with an open mouth and 1 cm H2O with a closed mouth, albeit with significant interpatient variability. So here we can see from 50 liters, when flow 50 liters, the basic creation of PEEP of 5 cm of H2O. Again, there was a study was published in the BJA. Basal high flow therapy delivers low level positive air pressure, and this study demonstrated that a low level of positive pressure was generated with LHF at 35 liters per minute of gas flow. This is consistent with the results obtained in healthy volunteers. Again, one study was published, and their conclusion was The mean nasopharyngeal pressure during nasal high flow oxygen increases as flow increases. Now coming to the dead space flush. There was a one study was conducted, and in this high flow nasal oxygen promotes washout of gas from the anatomical dead space, including more distal conducting airways, as demonstrated by the scintigraphy study in the patient breath holding subjects. Here in this picture A, you can see there is the anterior portion, is the posterior portion, this is the pharyngeal, tracheal lungs. And this is the B portion, this is the control patient, and this is the patient where the NHF was given, that is 45 liter per minute for 500 milliseconds. Here you can see the scintigraphy. Here this trace any gases are still present, while in the with the NHF patients, the trace gases are absent that has been washed out. So dead space flushing is happening with the HFNC. One paper was published regarding improvement in mucociliary clearance, and they concluded that domiciliary humidification improves lung mucociliary clearance in patients with bronchiectasis. Now, whatever I have described regarding HFNC physiologic effect and mechanism of action, here we can see is the high nasal flow when 20, 40, 60 liters. This increases pulmonary airway pressure, this increases the FiO2, there is a dead space washout is there, and adequate humidity is there. And this leads to lung recruitment, and this increases the PaO2, and lung compliance also increase. This leads to decreased respiratory drive, decreased respiratory rate, and decreased bulk of breathing, and respiratory effort is decreased. That leads to increased comfort of the patient. Again, this is described. This study was published in the Anesthesia, Trends Anesthesia and Critical Care. Potential mechanism benefit of HFNT in the acute setting. Heating. This affects on mucociliary clearance, reduce metabolic cost of work of breathing, and increase comfort. By humidification, affects mucociliary clearance, reduce metabolic cost of work of breathing, reduce inflammation vitro, increase comfort. With the high flow, there is a positive airway pressure, recruitment effect is there, increased dynamic lung compliance is there, reduced work of breathing is there, matching patient's PIFR. That means peak inspiratory flow rate. With this, there is a reliable delivery of FiO2, reduced inspiratory resistance, component work of breathing, and dead space washout. This causes reliable delivery of the FiO2 and reduce rebreathing. Interface, minimal instrumental dead space, increased comfort. Now recently, HFNC has been incorporated by the Mindray in their A9 and A8 version. This is the first anesthesia machine with the HFNC. Here you can see these are the tubings, and this is the FHNC module in the machine. And here you can see this is the total flow meter. This is the total flow knob. This is the oxygen percentage knob. And here this is the total flow display. And this is the oxygen percent display. This is the gas outlet. And the specification is total flow is from 2 liter to 100 liter per minute. Oxygen concentration between 21% to 100%. Pure oxygen less than 60 liter per minute. And pure oxygen can be given less than 60 liter per minute. Now recommended clinical protocol during using the HFNC incorporated anesthesia machine. When patient is conscious, prepare the HFNC system and keep the HFNC 20 to 30 liter per minute. We can inject the induction agent, propofol or any other agent. When patient becomes unconscious, we can increase the HFNC flow to 60 to 70 liter per minute. Then we should intubate the patient or create artificial airway. After creating artificial airway, we can switch off nasal cannula device and move the nasal cannula. Then we should connect to the mechanical ventilation circuit and start ventilation. Take home message. Why HFNC should be used? Because maintain saturation and extend the safe apnea time, reach to the optimal saturation quickly, help clinician to intubate more easily. What is the physiology of HFNC? Apneic oxygenation, PEEP effect, and dead space flush. Clinical application during induction, tubeless anesthesia, recovery. And HFNC A9, A8 flow rate up to 100 liter per minute, built-in design to save space, quick startup. And clinical application. It can be used during induction or intubation, tubeless anesthesia, emergency post anesthesia. Thank you very much. Thank you.